So this is the Hyperlow Vert Racer. This went through a soft launch earlier this summer while I was in Europe with DR1, thanks to Pyroflip. So there's been 100 or so of these in circulation for the last couple of months, and I appreciate everyone who picked one up and gave me feedback. And what I have here today is a finalized version that is readily available at hyperlowframes.com right now, and soon to be Pyroflip and a couple of other stores. So what you're looking at is a pseudo vertical arm Hyperlow mid-mount racer. As you can see, this is not one piece of carbon in the arms, this is two. And before I get into too many details, first off the bat, I'll just give you a quick rundown of how this design came to be. Introducing the Freestyle line, I've been in search of a decent racer. Definitely a Hyperlow style. But it was still just a scaled down version of my unibody freestyle frame. It performs great. The problem I was having is just that in tougher environments, like the OG Raceway or any garage track or anything like that, is you break an arm, you're going to be out of the race, simply because it's a unibody. And to get a decent weight, this was 3 mil. I still run it now, and it is still great, and I may even release it, but the problem, and especially since going microcam only, it's greatly strengthened up the front end, but it just wasn't exactly what I was looking for in a racer. So I did try a modular version, which has replaceable arms. This could be run just like the other one, top mount or mid mount. As all Hyperlow frames have, you have a replaceable plate up front, which not only solves the issue of having to replace an entire bottom plate or top plate due to a breakage, but it will just sit on either plate, so you can have an inverted frame if you want. This was great, but it still wasn't anything special. You still got a reasonably large arm, enough to hold an ESC. So I experimented with this setup. This is a true vertical arm setup. This is running a little keyhole type design at the top, so you can run a lock nut inside it and strap it to the top and bottom plate. They're identical. There's a mirror image of this cutout here. And as soon as I flew this, just gave it some full throttle, you could just immediately tell the difference, just because of all the clean air that's passing through, because of the size of the arm. I wasn't enthused on the fact that A, having to manufacture an extra piece of hardware here, and B, having to include an extra 20 or so pieces of hardware just to mount the motors. So this is actually where Bob Ruge came in. After we put our heads together, he came up with this idea, which is to use 2 pieces of carbon in order to create a vertical arm. So essentially this is a floss arm, even thinner, double stacked. So you've got a 10 millimeters of height, 4.5 millimeters of width here. And you have the carbon cut out at the end for the motor, so you don't have to worry about adding an aluminum piece or any kind of redundant hardware. So you've just got, one bolt and one lock nut at the end. And performance has been absolutely fantastic. So the feedback that I've had has been helpful. Appreciate that. The arm thickness versus the plate thickness has been refined so that the arm will be hopefully the first to break. I've only had a few reports of arms breaking. It's going to happen. Nothing's going to be immune from it, but the fact is the arms themselves are incredibly strong. Like if you see, you can't even hear any creaking or cracking or bending or anything like that. It's extremely solid. Thanks to these press nuts, which is the latest addition to the frame, which is now available, you can just really crank down on these and you're going to get no movement. There's the battery pad that's been added. This adds some friction and keeps it off the nuts here. And then a cam protector here, just a TPU, which it's only 4 grams. It's not entirely necessary, but why not? What else? So this is 10 millimeters. So this is designed for an all-in-one. The frame kit does come with extra 5mm spacers, so you can run a double stack. So you don't have to run ESCs on the arms. You can have a 4-in-1 and then an FC on top of it. Let me show you those real quick. So this is I actually printed these spacers out. The kit itself comes with carbon spacers. So technically this is soft mounted, but I really haven't been able to tell the difference. So this file is available from the Hyperlow pilot page on Facebook. So in here I have the Hobby Wing double stack, the ESCs and the flight controller. One thing I will note is you do have to be vigilant or careful about where you're going to put your electronics. Make sure you dry fit everything, taking into consideration access to USB, where your wires are going to go. Do you have enough length for a antenna at the back? The antenna mount is here. If you run a UFL, you can just strap it to the front of the arm. So dry fit everything, and you shouldn't have a problem. It is an advanced build. Even if you're going to do 15mm, it still takes a little forethought. But once it's done and once it's assembled, you just get all the benefits of being able to fly a mid-mount vertical arm frame. People do comment when they see a frame like this, oh, your battery is just going to get shredded. It simply doesn't happen. So you've got double straps here, which keep it perfectly secure. You've got now extra added friction here, and then this mount, or this cam cover at the front, will stop any momentum from the battery, from sliding forward if you do crash. And I've been flying mid-mount for pretty much the whole year and haven't lost any batteries. So as long as you take precautions, and then you should be good to go. Mid-mount itself has huge benefits. If I pull out this, what's here? Piece of history here. I think these are 30, maybe even 35mm standoffs. I mean, look at the size of this stack. Electronics these days just don't need that much room. You can see I'm even using pins on this one. So the problem with a setup like this is the battery weight, which is 150 to 180 plus grams, is just riding so high. So it's just moving all this extra heavy weight that has to be pushed around by the motors, just because it's so high. Moving that down into the prop line just keeps everything centralized, so your mass is nice and firm in the center, and you will immediately notice the handling difference, especially when you're transitioning from pitches to rolls. It is just so incredibly smooth. It makes for a great racer, simply because you're not going to get any, you're not running a GoPro, so you don't have to worry about props and footage or anything like that, even though that's not a huge deal. So let me see what else is there to cover. I'll give you a look at, this is my other setup. So this has the DYS all-in-one on board, and then 25 amp ESCs on the arms. So you're going to want to run a micro cam, micro RX. This is the XM Plus. Then a Unify with a pigtail, or any similar size, anything with a pigtail or UFL. So you can strap it to the arm or run it out back. And then all-in-one. You want to make sure you get as small one as possible without too many components. Like I think there's that one with the soft mount ESC, soft mount gyro, which could be problematic, and some of them are longer than they are wide. Like they exceed the 36 by 36 standard size. I think they do fit though, because I think I've used I'm trying to think what the name of it is. I'll post a link to an album just so you have some ideas of what pilots have been putting in theirs in the past, so you can get an idea of what fits. But let me run through the kit real quick. So in the kit, you're going to get the top plate and bottom plate, both 2mm. This one has the pre-installed press nuts. This is hardware for the 10mm build. Cam protector. You're going to get a couple of sponge landing pads just so you can put them on the bottom, because why not? Arms, battery pad, and then here is the 15mm hardware. So that is the spacer I mentioned earlier. So it's simple and it just works. And then also here's an antenna insulator, which will sit on the underside just so it isolates your SMA. And that's about it. Here is a removable bumper at the front, so you don't have to worry about replacing a bottom plate should it break. It's available at hyperlowframes.com, pyrofliprc.com, and probably Drone Builds later this week, and a couple of other places in the future. So any questions you have, please feel free to ask in the comments, and I will answer them. Thank you.